Okay, so here's what's up. In the last video, I talked about Rick Mulready's framing for marketing messages, and I proposed that this is an interesting way to think about crafting your speaking points for what you bring into meetings or networking events so that you can package your message in a way that others can get it and can resonate with it. And I'll assert that that advances not only the deliverables that you're trying to accomplish, but also your career effectively. Today, I'll talk about the second part of that process, which is crafting your premise, which makes your message sticky and gives people something to mentally latch onto. For the best strategies to take your career to the next level, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you can let the YouTube algorithm know to show my videos to corporate women who want to advance with grace and ease and who would like to see gender-balanced leadership at all levels. I'm Christina dellisanti-Miller, and I'm a career transition coach. I've worked for 20 plus years in Fortune 100 corporates, consulting to executives and coaching high potential leaders at all levels. And I've helped hundreds of women take their career beyond what they thought was possible. My goal is to support as many women as possible to move from that common situation of overworked, undervalued, overlooked, to a savvy navigator who can access the roles and rewards that are really inspiring to her and thrive in those roles. So if you recall from the last video, the first step in the process is understanding your client's business needs and their very, very specific challenges so that you can tie your solutions to their business challenges and show how you're contributing to them winning in the marketplace. The second piece of this framework is a core premise. And the premise is a statement that has 5 characteristics, which I'll explain in a second, that make it effective. And it's kind of like the headline for what you're trying to assert that your work accomplishes. So continuing with the example that I used last time, which was introducing gay and lesbian initiative in the firm I was working at to create a more inclusive and open culture, my premise would be something like this. The only way we're going to be able to consistently win in the marketplace is if we have great talent, and the way we're going to keep great talent is to make sure that we provide an environment where they can show up and be themselves and accomplish what's important to them. And we can do that in a way that really makes sense for the business by helping people to understand how specific behaviors will create a more inclusive environment while at the same time focusing on companies that have done that have prevailed in the marketplace. So the 5 characteristics of a good core premise are as follows. First one is it's powerful, positive, and empowering. It's pointing to what's possible and thinking about the research you've already done, thinking about your client's key needs, desires, and challenges. It links specifically to that. So in the example I gave, it was specifically about lifting teams. And if a team had a gay person on the team and worked in a company that was an environment that was really empowering and inclusive, and we brought them to an environment that wasn't such an inclusive environment, how would that whole team work together? Would they still produce as well as they did in the original environment, since we wanted them all to continue to be effective, right? So that was the very specific. Second one, according to Rick Mulready in his Flagship offer framework, is it should be polarizing. It should be provocative. So I think for entrepreneurs, it's great to be polarizing and provocative because you're bringing your core clients to you and you're repelling the ones that are not going to be aligned. And there's so many people that you could work with that that's a good thing. I think in corporate, you have to be a little careful about being polarizing because your client group is your client group, and it's not like you can discard them and go for somebody else. You need to work with the key leaders in your business. Yeah, so I think in this case, it shouldn't be completely polarizing. It should be engaging. People should remember it, and it should be something that they might think about, but you don't want to push away your clients since those are the ones in the business. So this is something you have to adapt for corporate use. Third one, it should be clear, like a 12-year-old could understand it. Fourth one, succinct, gets right to the point, not 7 sentences. And fifth, it should be relevant to the offer. So it's beginning to connect to what you're thinking about as your solution that you're going to introduce. So when you're thinking about messaging and preparing to wrap your intentions in a communication that's going to effectively land with your key clients and stakeholders, coming up with a premise is something that will really help you. Let me know in the comments if you've ever used a premise, and if so, what impact did it have on your communications and the uptake of your work. Framing your communications in a way that gets your work taken up is a key part of my 8-step system to advance your career effectively. If you'd like to learn more about it, check out my free cheat sheet at fullpotentialrealize.com/advance. I'll leave you a playlist with additional strategies to move your career forward effectively. Thanks for watching this video. Please give it a like, give it a comment, share it with your friends on social media, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I look forward to seeing you next time.